Hello everyone, welcome to this post. I will briefly mention some ideas on the current challenging global environment. Geopolitical tensions, temptation to regionalize trade, and the war in Ukraine are among the recent events that make this discussion more relevant than ever. Governments, business, and international organizations, including WCO, are looking to overcome these geopolitical tensions and pressures. Solutions based on international cooperation need to be agreed in order to avoid the start of a post-multilateralism era together with the re-emergence of great power rivalry. A lot hangs in the balance. Globalization really began at the end of the Second World War. It brought multilateralism with it, and it bound the world together, unleashing prosperity at an unprecedented scale by integrating global markets through trade. Globalization and multilateralism delivered countless benefits. It lifted billions from extreme poverty. It increased global trade by creating a global supply chain network that unleashed the creative power of economic operators in a system of mutual benefit. Also, the world was brought online, led by the technology sector. Humanity was connected through vast borderless social networks which shrunk time and space accordingly. And by the miracle of exponentially improving information technology, it democratized access to information. However, globalization and multilateralism have also failed to tackle some side effects and unintended consequences which have now placed us in a delicate position. While we have witnessed global economic growth, we have also seen the increase of wealth inequality. This wealth inequality is driven by a combination of outsourcing to low-cost labor markets, as well as the exponential increase in government indebtedness. Supply chains outsourcing to low-cost labor markets has kept median wages nearly flat in developed economies for a generation, while uncontrolled government indebtedness have inflated the value of real estate, stocks, bonds, and all other financial assets to the exclusive benefit of a few. As this inequality worsened, the strain on the social fabric and international order reached a breaking point. Our reliance on national politics to deliver material, economic, social, and health outcomes, and their declining power to do so in a globalized world, resulted in popular rage and dismay. Nation-states across the West and East have experienced popular and authoritarian challenges to the liberal order of the past 7 decades, with opposition to immigration and international trade at their core. The demise of multilateralism has been upon us for some time. The narrative of a rising tide of liberalism and democracy binding the world together in peaceful commerce is being challenged. Is this the end of multilateralism? Probably not, but we have the duty to stand by it and defend it against the current and constant pressures it faces. For this purpose, international organizations need to contribute to the global objective of equal growth and security. This also applies to WCO, and this is actually reflected in our vision statement: bringing customs together for a safer and more prosperous world. As global customs family, we need to first understand and acknowledge our role in multilateralism and trade. Customs administrations traditionally have their national mandate to facilitate trade, protect their societies, and secure fair revenue collection. WCO needs a clear understanding on where to focus its efforts of cooperation, standardization, and capacity building in line with members' mandate. We need to innovate in our way of thinking. Customs' role needs to evolve once more from its traditional fixed position at the border to a more agile, dynamic, and data-driven agency. WCO needs to lead this change in an innovative way. We have to move from a mechanical and transactional perspective to a more comprehensive and strategic one. In other words, we need to evolve from risk management of a single transaction and economic operators to risk management of the whole supply chains. By updating our approach, WCO and customs administrations can contribute to the global objective of safe and equitable economic growth. We need to move from our traditional reactive approach to a more proactive approach. We are the best positioned organization to lead this change. Why do I propose to focus on developing secure and trusted supply chains? Well, with the growth of multilateralism, cross-border trade expanded and supply chains started diversifying and being outsourced. This fragmentation of supply chains restructured trade and with it, the global economy as a whole. Motivated by cost efficiency and working capital optimization, the global supply chain grew in complexity, opacity, and interdependence. Consumers benefited from decades of secular price deflation, fed by cheap labor from the transition of manufacturing to low-cost labor environments, by the flood of commodities, and by exponentially improving information technology. Today, these non-stop instantaneous flows are directed principally by actors independent of nation-states, including multinational corporations, financial institutions, and social networks. Unfortunately, transnational criminal organizations are also part of these flows. Nonetheless, goods and people continue to flow towards and over borderlines. These flows have their principal effects within nation-states and are regulated by governments operating there. With limited means or jurisdiction to manage globalization, nation-states increasingly struggle to assert political authority, levy and collect taxes, protect public health, defend cybersecurity, reverse inequality, and enforce legal and regulatory requirements. This diminished capacity of nation-states to cope with the rise of global flows and the power of transnational actors have contributed to political, social, and economic dislocation. We need more international cooperation. We need better international cooperation to put in place a global framework that assists nation-states mitigate this impact. If you want to know more, watch my next video in which I will talk about the next steps we need to take as global customs family towards more secure and trusted global supply chains. Let's build the future of customs together.